Hey Dalton, welcome to my house. I'm very happy that we can share some spirits.
What are we getting into today, Chava?
Well, just because it's very early in the morning and I thought this will be a gracious way to start the day. I think trying some Bacanora from Sonora, it's the right move.
And this Bacanora is from Rumaldo.
Flores Amarillas, which is the coolest last name that I've ever heard in my life,
It is a nice name.
right? And he's the coolest dude as well.
Yeah. I loved learning about the train condenser on the Alembique.
Oh hell yes. So first of all, cheers, and then we
Cheers.
can and then we can talk shop. But I think it's important to cheer first. Mm. Oh man, this is breakfast of champions for sure. But yeah, I mean, you were saying that one of the most interesting things when we went to Rosario Tesopaco, which is no joke in the middle of nowhere, was looking at their alembic and the many parts that composed it, right?
Yes. I love traveling to a new place and you unexpectedly find something that's just totally new after all these years. And in this case, it was the train condenser, which was where the condensation pipe just went horizontally in a long straight pipe rather than spiraling around in a circle vertically. So that was the first thing that caught my eye when we walked into that palenque, and I was just like, all right, something new. I'm excited and let's see how it tastes.
Yeah, and I think that to think about a different alembic approach in the world of agave spirits, it's usually a very exciting thing because a lot of different flavors, different approaches of how you are going to engage with the cuts, with the distillation itself, do change drastically depending on the type of alembic you're using. And we know that this train system exists in other places, but I don't know for you, this was the first time that I ever saw one in the flesh.
Yep, me as well.
Absolutely. And how are you feeling about the spirit?
To me, the spirit is extremely clean and balanced. It's character rich, has a really interesting aroma that reminds me of the Palenque. I don't know if I'm associating my memory and connecting it back to the aroma, but it has a very dusty barnyard like aroma to it. And it's just pristine cleanliness and balance.
Which is incredibly interesting that you say this because we had a taste and chat with some of our members. And if you are part of Maguey Melate and you're not coming to these taste and chats, we really recommend you do because a lot of things are discussed from flavors to technical qualities to, I mean, everything that you can think of the spirits. And I think a lot of the members do agree with you.
Yeah.
A lot of them were mentioning exactly the fact that this is pristine.
Yeah. In some cases in these tasting chats, we do not reach a consensus, which was the case in this lechuga as far as the aroma went.
Lechuguilla, sir. Lechuguilla.
Lechuguilla. Getting it confused with my lettuce. But in this case, everybody was in a consensus that this just, from start to finish, was clean and balanced.
Absolutely, which is not necessarily what you think of when you talk about Bacanora with third parties. Bacanora, at least in my experience, normally has more of a lot of muscle. I wouldn't
A little bit of pop to it.
yeah, I wouldn't describe it as pristine under no circumstances. So that is why I'm so excited that we got the chance to bottle this specific expression because I think that even for people that have been drinking Bacanora for a while, it's going to be definitely a different experience. And it's going to talk about the range that Bacanora can have.
Yeah. For years, back in 2000, 2001, 2002, we were trying to source a Bacanora from afar, and almost every Bacanora that we got had this rather harsh burn on it, and none of them made their way into the 375 bottle. So I was so excited to find a Bacanora that didn't have that harsher burn, and this one is perfect to represent a Bacanora that's a little bit more clean.
Absolutely. And I think that it's also very interesting to think about the fact that Bacanora is ultimately an angustifolia.
Mhm.
There's a lot of discussion of what kind of a specific angustifolia we're talking about. According to the NOM, sometimes they call it angustifolia ho, which will be the same as a espadín in Oaxaca. Some people are talking about Angustifolia pacifica, but if you taste any espadín of Oaxaca, And we've tried quite a bit, and we
Yeah.
have behind us quite a bit of espadines from Oaxaca, all the way from the cheapest to the most expensive ones. I do not find anything in common
Yeah.
between a Bacanora, at least in flavor profiles, aromas, flavors, all of that, to an espadín from Oaxaca. There's just no point of contact in my mind.
Absolutely not. And one thing that comes to mind for me, again, when you show up to a place for the first time, you're trying to catch things that are different. Yes, it's the same species of agave, but remember they're watering their
Which was
agaves?
insane, yes.
So they're out there watering their agaves like they're flowers in a garden. And just imagine the stress from all the Sonora heat that those agaves are under. Imagine the stress the soil is under and how that's going to change the growth patterns and the flavors and the sugars of the agave. And I think, same species, but a totally different terroir, and therefore, you're going to get some very different flavors.
Absolutely, and I think that a lot of people will agree, even though it's the cruelest thing to say, that an agave that has suffered will yield very delicious stuff.
Yeah.
And we found that with Lamparillo in La Zona del Silencio. We found some of our favorite agaves have suffered a lot. And I think that is very true with the Bacanoras from Sonora, which I also think are called Yaquianas. So one of the popular names for this specific agave is Yaquiana, which I think is super cool. It's reminiscent of, I don't know, it just tells me that it's from the north
Yeah.
somehow.
Okay.
So anything else that you would like to mention about this Bacanora, Joven?
No, I think that's about it.
Cool. I think that if I can say one last thing, is that don't know exactly how many Bacanoras are available in the US right now,
Yep.
but I'm very sure that it's a very limited amount.
Yeah.
And I find it exciting to start creating a palette and an understanding of this region from producers that are not as well known or that are not as present in, forget about the US, even in Mexico. So I think that if you are interested in fully understanding the north of Mexico, its terroir, its flavor profiles, these will be a very interesting expression to explore and to pay attention to.
Absolutely. Yeah, so if you want to try a Bacanora that we find to be extremely clean and without some of the harsher flavors that I personally associate with some of the Bacanoras I try, there are 22 bottles in the US as of July 31st, and we have no plans in the near future for a couple years to be importing any more of this Bacanora. So hopefully there'll be about 20 people in the US who can get this bottle still, and then it's gone.
Good Lord. Okay, so I'm happy that I'm not in the US and that I have no money. I cannot go in debt. But well, guys, if you want to try it, it's gonna be in the Maguey Melate shop. Cheers.
Cheers.